Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to another wonderful episode of Metal Gear University.
I am T.
And I am K. We're TK and M.
That is us.
That is us. We're here, everybody. I don't even know what to say.
I never thought I would see the day.
You see it in the title.
This is it.
It's in parentheses. Final. Did you ever think we'd get here?
I mean, I knew eventually we would get here, but like, this has been quite a journey.
I feel like it's also very symbolic. It's pouring rain outside.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
It's a stormy day while we're recording this, and I absolutely love Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, don't get us wrong.
Yeah, it is definitely like one of my favorite games, like just in general, like outside of Metal Gear. It's one of my favorite games. It's just that I've been dying to talk about another thing.
I don't think we understood the full scope of this game.
Yeah.
I don't think we understood like how much it would take for us to really explain everything.
And to like when we started this podcast, we wanted to make everything as approachable as possible to everyone. And that means you got to break it down. And there is so much to break down here.
I mean, this episode is probably what, an hour, 2 hours, and this is the last half an hour of gameplay.
Yeah.
So, we're here.
What happens really at this point of the game? Like, there's some bombs that are dropped, but like, it's crazy how dense this is.
No, it's and it only revs up from here. Like, as we continue on with the other games in the series, it doesn't get any easier. I think our plate will continue to be full.
I mean, I feel like 3 is dense, but not like 2. I think the next hurdle, so to speak, is 4. Yeah.
4 and then 5 for sure. Because you gotta think about how, you know what, we can't because people don't know the game. You know what? Let's cut this, but we're excited.
Yes,
we're excited. Tom, what's new with you? What's been going on?
Well, let's see. I have added another nerdy thing to my belt.
You sure have.
I have joined the Warhammer community.
Is there a process? Is there?
There's forms to sign.
Okay. Deodorant to not buy.
Deodorant to not buy. It's a joke. People get it. It's fine. And I hear the comments now.
Like, wow, that bitch said.
That bitch says I don't wear deodorant. Fuck you.
It's a joke, okay? It's a joke. We're all been there, okay? We've been to anime clubs in high school. We know, okay? It's select people. Anyway, sorry, Warhammer.
Yeah, I've been getting. I got like a starter set. It comes with Space Marines and Tyranids. I built the models.
It's pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie.
They look cool. I'm gonna paint them later in the month, and I want to play with you.
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm excited. I'm going away for a conference, and I'm excited to come back. And like the table in the dining room is set, and you're like, let's get to work.
We're going to war. We will battle.
It's the fact that I'm not familiar with Warhammer, so when T bought this set, I was looking at all the instructions and like the items that came with it. The fact that it came with a ruler, that was mind blowing. That was honestly
because like it works like a RTS in board game form. You know, like StarCraft and stuff like that, but it's just a board game version of it.
I mean, I feel like we have the time and the space, so why not? But I'm just curious how far this new hobby will go.
I don't expect
There's a lot of figures you can buy.
Yeah, and I don't expect to be crazy deep. I'm already enough into other things, but I want to just expand my models a little bit more so that I could have a little bit of a grander scale conflict. Like I want to get like maybe like another set of Marines and Tyranids.
Okay.
And then maybe get like a tank or two, and then I'll call it there.
Would you ever go to like, so we're in New York, there's a spot by NYU. It's just strictly a Warhammer store. So would you ever go to a store to do like a competition or a battle?
I'd give it a shot. I definitely want to like be a little bit more comfortable in the rules. Because like I feel like that there's gonna be like a lot of gatekeepy guys over there. They're like, you don't know the move on page 38 of the manual.
Did the thing you bought come with a manual?
Well, like it's like a basic instruction manual.
Okay, it's probably like a a big legacy document.
Oh
right?
yeah, no, there's a friend of mine. He tried to get me to Warhammer like years ago.
It's like a decade ago.
About a decade, yeah. And he was like, Tom, just like pick your thing. It's like really cool. And like I was like flipping through and it looked cool. But I was like, I don't know, man. Maybe later. And then later became never. So I know that if he finds out now, he's going to be like, fuck Tom.
Yeah, all this time.
Because like he lives out of state now. And now like he's...
I feel like you should text him and be like, hey, long time no speak. I'm into Warhammer now. I figured I'd text you.
But yeah, I just hear him. I could see him shaking his fist at the sky, going like, "I told you years ago to get into this."
Honestly, Warhammer is pretty cool. The two of us, like, we're really big. We love board games. I feel like we should really go to PAX Unplugged or like PAX Seasons this weekend. I've heard there's like a board game section of it too. I feel like we should expand our board game library and then also just like play more.
Yeah, totally down.
We should have board game nights. But Warhammer, yeah, you definitely picked it up. What else happened? So it was St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you. Why are you saying that to me, huh? Of all people.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
I'm triggered.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you.
We went to a party. I guess a party. There's a party at one of Tom's relatives. They were celebrating, the holiday, and it got spicy.
Yeah. There was. Okay.
I just want to bring it up because it was so funny, and I just want other people to know.
It was wild. Okay, so my uncle, he lives out in Long Island, and that's already a red flag right there. For people who live in New York, that's already a red flag.
That or Staten Island.
Yeah.
No disrespect. If you live in Staten Island or Long Island, please let us know.
Yeah, to be fair, Long Island, it looks beautiful. Like I'll give it
What
that.
about Staten Island?
I've never been.
You've never been?
I'm not planning on it either.
All right.
There's nothing for me there.
You want to send us hate mail? It's itstknd@gmail.com. It's tknm@gmail.com for some hate mail.
Oh, I would love that. So I mean, my uncle moved out there because like he got like a well-paying job and he wanted to buy a house, and that was where he bought his house. And he had like this St. Patrick's Day party, and he invited some friends of his. And
it was a mix of characters.
It was a mix of characters. It's to this day, I don't know where my uncle lands on like the political spectrum, because even based on his friends, I don't know. Because there was one guy that was like kind of like on like the left side of things, and then there was another guy that came in wearing like this like triggered lib shirt with like Joe Biden on it.
It was a family friends party, and this man comes in with a Joe Biden shirt that says Happy July 4th. And everyone's like, okay. Mad people were turning like, okay.
Yeah, like, and nobody was like really like in on the joke. Everyone was like, why is he wearing that? You know?
And then there was one guy.
And then there was this one dude. And he turns to him and he says something along the lines of like, oh, you like that guy Trump then, huh? And then things got heated and he was like, what? Grab him by the pussy.
That's your man.
That's your man, right? That's what he said. Grab him by the pussy. And this guy's wife takes her drink.
Her Guinness
on St. Patrick's Day. And tosses it on him. And he was like, you bitch!
And then both of them
got up
in their mid-50s, just got up. This woman who was the same height sitting as she was standing, and then this other guy, and both just like hard body, chest to chest to each other.
It was wild.
And it happened so fast and so slow. Like they got it. Like they were.
Oh because they were both like older people. And the funniest thing, let me give you a visual of my uncle. In another era, my uncle would be swinging like a battle axe on like the fields of Ireland somewhere. This man is like close to 7 feet tall, and he's big. He's a big man. And this dude was in the kitchen. He saw this go down, and he was like, that ain't none of my business.
I gotta cook this corned beef.
It's like, that ain't none of my business, man.
They didn't do nothing. Yo, man, it was a very eventful St. Patrick's Day. I think, like you said, us going to Long Island was probably the sign. That should have been like, oh, don't even bother.
That's the red flag.
But that was It's funny because it was a trip for us to get out there. It was a hassle. But then we went there and I was like, you know what? This was fun.
Yeah.
That made everything worth it for me.
And then what my uncle said, he was just like, man, I just wanted my friends to get together, have a good time.
But it was, St. Patrick's Day in New York, that's a recipe for disaster. I don't even know what to say. I just wanted to mention it. It was so funny.
It was pretty fun.
Those people that make those shirts, they make guap. What's the website again? No, we're not giving them free publicity.
No, we're not giving them that publicity. But if I was down to sell my soul, I would sell those shirts. I don't believe in it, but like, you know, if there's money to be had,
Wow.
I just said I wouldn't do it. But I'm just saying, if I was a lesser version of myself, I see why people do it. You know?
They make money. No, because I think we because we were like, where do you even buy that shirt? We went to the website. And it was like thousands of reviews. Oh, I love this shirt, blah, blah, blah. And it's like people think, you know how many people review items on websites? Like, it's only a fraction of who's actually buying it. When's the last time you reviewed an item you bought online?
Especially an item that I liked. More often than not, people review things that they hate.
So the fact there were like hundreds, thousands of reviews for these shirts on these websites, I'm like, yo, these owners are making money. Mm-hmm. Making money for this meme shirt. You're wearing, man.
Just Facebook memes. Like, half of them weren't even funny. There was, look, I don't believe in any of the ideology, but there was one that made me go, huh.
Which one was it?
I forget. I legitimately forget.
I don't even know the website.
Yeah, it was this one.
Oh,
Trader Joe's.
There was one that was funny. What was it? It was
called Trader Joe's.
That's kind of good.
That was a little good.
That's kind of good, man. It's funny, right? Because we're talking about this. It's like, oh, it's politics, blah blah blah. Metal Gear Solid is the political game of all time. So we're in line with the podcast.
We are in line. I mean, if anything, a lot of these people need like nanomachines to get their brains working right. Outside of Joe Biden, like literally all of them, they're all like mummies at this point.
Ooh.
What, is it a bad thing to say that they're all ancient? They are.
It's not even like the ancient part. It's just like it making it a career. Oh my god, we're gonna have to cut this whole part out.
Yeah, or keep it. His hot takes.
Hot takes, TK them. But St. Patrick's Day got real political over here. It was pretty funny. It was nice because we went from an evening you building Warhammer figures, you like, oh, I can't wait to paint this, and the next day just two old people fighting.
It was wild.
But maybe that's the essence of St. Patrick's Day in New York. Maybe that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it also originated in Boston and not Ireland. Not a lot of people know that.
And Boston is rough.
Yeah, Boston is a little rough.
I love Boston, but whew.
Yeah, it was one of those things like Columbus Day. Like how that was like the Italians like in to be like welcomed.
Yeah.
St. Patrick's Day was like the Irish people's in, so to speak.
I see. And then through time and history, it's kind of like...
It's become very Americanized, and now like it's like in recent years becoming more of a thing in Ireland too.
Yeah, when we went to Ireland, we went actually during St. Patrick's Day. I think it's just the timing worked out. And it was very lackluster parade. They were just like, okay.
I mean, like, I remember, like, we were talking to somebody, and he was like, yeah, it's not really, like, a thing here. I mean, like, it's... He said that, more or less, that it's starting to become a thing because, like, people expect it out of Ireland. So they're like, yeah, might as well cash in, I guess.
But it was really kind of like a family-friendly holiday over there. It was a parade. It was...
Yeah, it's more of a day... I mean, like... At least from what my parents have told me, it's more of a day that it was like you go home and you have like a dinner with your family, and you more or less that was it.
Not just like go out and drink.
Yeah.
What else happened this week? Oh, 2 Metal Gear related things happened.
That's true.
One, Twitter, at least our Twitter blew up. It was like the Delta title screen has been released.
And we're not even sure if that's like the official title screen. That's just like the working one that was like treated in like the demo that early playtesters had.
I think so, right?
Yeah. I mean, and even if it's like the final one, it looks fine. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I love when you see people like kind of jump the gun and they're quick to like hate on something or quick to be like, I just feel like it's so early. It's most likely gonna change. Mm-hmm. And also, it's not gonna feel the same for when you first play that game. years ago. They're like, I missed the camo. I missed it. Like, I know it's different.
Yeah.
Give it a chance. Also, who cares at the title screen?
Yeah.
I don't care.
It doesn't matter.
I don't care.
It really doesn't matter. And look, I want Delta to succeed. I want it to be like the second coming of Metal Gear Solid 3. That would be like the goal, you know?
Yeah.
But even if this thing bombs, we still have Metal Gear Solid 3. That's the real win, in my opinion.
It's the Master Collection. It's still there.
So this is just a bonus for me. I hope it succeeds, but I already got what I wanted. You know?
No, honestly, the Legacy Collection was really what you were looking forward to. I feel like I don't think it'll even bomb, because even if it's a failure in terms of sales, I don't think it'll bomb just in the fact of like it's gonna get people, new players, interested in the series, and they're gonna buy the old collection to see what's up.
I hope so.
You know,
that's the goal.
So that came out. Also, we saw Konami release.
We're calling our lawyers.
They released what is called the Metal Gear Solid Legacy series, hosted by none other than David Hayter.
It looks really cool.
He's basically what it is, for those who don't know. It's
oh,
on
yeah.
YouTube.
What's the pitch of the Legacy series?
So, in this series, they're going to be going through all the major storylines of Metal Gear Solid, explaining what happened in the games, the timeline, and basically helping catch people up to speed.
And introducing new players to the series who might not know what the Metal Gear Solid series is all about. And if that sounds a little bit familiar, that's because it is. This is what we've been doing for months now, and we will be calling our lawyers.
If there's a pop quiz section in any of those episodes,
they're listening. And Konami, I want my cut, all right?
Those few seconds of your episode, I want my ad money. I want everything. How do we sue a company for something they created?
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work.
We'll make it work.
We're gonna find.
Well, look, we'll just cause a big stink on Twitter. That's it.
If the next episode has a pop quiz, or if it feels oddly familiar, I want to see TK&M do it first in the comments.
Oh, that'd be sick.
And then we get a copyright strike, and then we gotta stop making the podcast. Can you imagine?
No, the final episode, we'll just live it up. We'll be like, we're going to play all the copyrighted music, guys. Before we get taken down, we're going to go out in a blaze of glory.
Yo. Can you imagine? I get an email like, oh, Konami emailed us. Oh, no. I'm like hyped to see Konami. I'm like, oh, my God, they want to do so. Oh, they're shutting us down.
Oh, okay.
They're shutting us down.
All right.
But it's a pretty cool little thing to see on YouTube. I'm actually excited because...
Yeah, it does look cool. I mean, I'm kidding around. Maybe. We'll see. No. No, okay, but honestly, like, it does look cool. From what I've been seeing, it looks like they're doing very, very broad story elements. So, if anything, we're doing it a little bit better because we're going in a little more in depth so that people know the nitty gritty.
David Hayter should be like, hey, if you want a more in depth conversation, you should go over to Metal Gear University with TK&M.
Yeah.
And then
as he should. He should.
That'd be so cool.
Right?
No, but I hear you. It looks cool, and I think it's a nice. I think some people need that overview.
Yeah, and it's very well produced. It's got great visuals, and it has like 5-star talent. So
the man himself, yeah.
Like, what more can you ask for? You know.
So I'm excited. I mean, I think too, what's exciting is seeing something like that. Just reminds me that like Delta is still on track to come out this year. Mm-hmm. We have no date, 2024 when it comes out.
Probably like the holiday season.
It's cool to see them making things like that because it's like, okay, it's coming along. They're on track. You know what I mean? They're on track. So
honestly, if they could do a master collection of the Silent Hill games, that would also be like the real prize. You know what I mean? It'd
have to be different than that HD collection they released a couple.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I don't want it to be like that. I'm looking for exactly what I was expecting for the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, just straight ports. Like, I don't want nothing fancy. I just want a port.
I know.
That's it.
I'm telling you, I think it might be time for us to buy 1 and 3 Silent Hill.
That's a lot of money, though.
I know, but That might be my gift to myself because it's about time you've played them. I've been fixated on those games for so long. I just want you to experience 1 and 3 so bad. Anyway, one day. For anyone who would like to send us questions, our email is itstkandm@gmail.com. That is itstkandm@gmail.com. After this episode, we're going to be doing a bunch of 201 episodes, and I think the first one's going to be Get to Know Us.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that we're doing it this deep in. But, that's just how we roll,
I mean, to be fair, and not because we just want to talk about ourselves, some people did email and ask us questions, and they're curious about how we got into the series and more about us. We're kind of, sometimes we're interesting. So, and I think it'll be nice to not have an episode with 5 pages of notes. We can just kind of talk off.
Yeah.
The cuff, the riff, I don't know.
Off the cuff, I think.
Off the cuff, okay.
Yeah.
If you have a question for us, a comment, please email us at itstkandm@gmail.com. That is itstkandm@gmail.com. Also remember to rate us and review if you can. It helps. I like seeing the comments. Anyway, you know what time it is? It is time for the pop quiz. Are you ready?
You're punching me in the arm.
Are you ready? Last pop quiz of Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, all right.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I am.
You are?
I am.
It is now time for the pop quiz. T.
Yes, Kay.
We have only one question for the pop quiz today.
Okay.
Fantastic. Simple, right? Straight to the point.
Yeah.
It is not multiple choice.
Mm-hmm.
It is... I don't even want to say short answer because it depends on your response.
Mm-hmm.
Today's pop quiz question is, now that we are at the end of the game, what is Metal Gear Solid 2 about?
Huh. Okay.
All
right. Well, I would say that I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible. I believe that Metal Gear Solid 2 is about how information can be controlled to manipulate you. And how people react to that.
Oh, you're going very much kind of broad strokes as opposed to what happened in the game.
That's how I read it. But,
That's fair. No, I mean, this is... You know what? Correct. I'd accept that answer.
Okay.
But go ahead, elaborate.
All right. Well, we've come to find out that this whole game is a repeat of a repeat of a repeat of what's come before.
Okay.
And everything that we've done as Raiden has been a lie. His backstory was a lie. His mission was a lie. His support team was a lie. His girlfriend was a lie.
Damn.
Everything is a lie. And the only thing that Raiden can be for sure of what's real is what's happening right in front of him. And I think that at its core, that is what the game is about. Is stuff doesn't make sense. And it might be designed that way to make it as nonsensical as possible to keep people like you and me from understanding what's going on in the world around us. But we do have control over what's going on in our life day to day. And that is what's important. And I think that is what, at its heart, what Metal Gear Solid 2 is about.
I really love that answer. I really was not expecting that. So I think that was very beautiful and eloquent.
Oh, thank you.
And I would agree with you. I really would. I am curious if anyone else would agree. Let us know. Send us a comment. But, we have these last 30 minutes, so I'm curious if what happens will only add to that message that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
Or, maybe we gain some new insight. But usually at the end cutscene is always a great moment to kind of summarize what the developers wanted us to do.
Yeah.
Or the major just takeaway point. So we've come to that point. Are you ready to discuss the end of Metal Gear Solid 2?
Oh, I've been ready. Let's do this.
Ready?
Yeah.
On to the episode. So T,
Yes.
Last time we were here, Saldus and Raiden had just descended upon, or below from the heavens onto the top of Federal Hall.
Yeah, it was very jarring. I mean, from last episode, we alluded to the fact that they had to cut a scene where Arsenal Gear rammed into Manhattan. And given that this game was in 2001...
In November.
Makes sense.
So that scene is a little jarring, and I think also what's jarring is that the scene right before it was the grand reveal of all the little twists and turns and traitors, and a lot is happening again, continuously.
It doesn't stop. It will never stop.
So T, when you first play this, do you remember kind of how you felt at this end point? Because it really does feel final.
It does. Now, it's been a long time since my very first playthrough, but I vaguely remember like understanding the game up until like around Arsenal Gear, and like getting to the top of Arsenal Gear, and they started twist upon twist upon twist, and they just threw me in a loop after another loop. And then I'm just falling from the sky, and now I'm on a building. And
now, yeah. I feel what's also rough is that at this point in the game, I know for me, I didn't know what to believe. So we get all these grand reveals from Ocelot, Liquid, everybody, and I'm still like, do I trust you? Is this even real?
Yeah, this could be just a VR mission now. Like, who really knows?
For myself, and I can imagine for Raiden, what is important to believe? What of all of this do I actually care about?
Yeah. I mean, like, the only thing that Raiden truly knows is what's in front of him right now. And not any narratives. Just, it is him and it's Solidus on top of Federal Hall. And that's it.
I know he probably is really guided by Olga's last request to him.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that that's the only tangible thing that Raiden can grasp in terms of, like, fighting for something. Because, like, everything that he was told ever was a lie.
Except for this woman sacrificed herself for you, but really for her baby, but for you, though.
Yeah.
So I guess he's continuing that love, and that I think that moment... I do think it was very important for him. She was probably the only selfless character in this game. And I think, too, it was really the only moment of actual kind of... She threw her life for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can see him being like, you know what? I want to leave here as soon as possible. But I'm going to make sure I do one thing that's right.
Yeah.
One thing that's... means something.
And that's saving that kid.
Saving that baby. So we're on top of Federal Hall, and Solidus begins one of the million monologues we have in this game. But this monologue is a little bit different because he's a little, I want to say, crazed.
Yeah, because like before he really starts talking to you, he does like this like weird spin, and he's laughing maniacally. His arms are waving around, and I don't know. It gives off like I'm an evil villain, and this is like my last monologue before I die or something.
Right?
You know?
This
like,
is my scene.
Yeah.
This was his like audition.
This was Solidus's audition.
I feel like for him, for his character, I think this moment is probably very poetic. That the symbolism is very heavy.
Oh, super thick.
He tells Raiden on top of Federal Hall that 200 years ago, to this day, George Washington became president. And Solidus sees this as like a, I'm him.
The stars have aligned.
I'm him. Solidus claims in his monologue to Raiden that he wants to take back civil rights, freedoms. He wants to help the American people from the evil patriots.
I don't doubt him, but that's not what he wants.
What does he want?
What he wants is to be remembered. He wants a legacy for himself. The civil rights and the opportunities that he's like advertising here, they're more or less byproducts of what might come to pass if Solidus gets what he wants.
Right, from winning against the Patriots. I mean, it's interesting that because at this moment we can imagine it's just him and Raiden. There's really no one. We don't see anyone else around. We don't know if anyone else is listening.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder why it was important for Solidus to tell Raiden this.
I think that, I mean, we're seeing Solidus at a point where everything that he thought he had a hold of is being stripped away. And he's been told that, nah, you've been lied to as well. I mean, you could almost say that he has been lied to as much as Raiden has.
True.
Because he thought he really had the Patriots. He thought he had this whole thing figured out. Come to find out,
he was another pawn.
That even him trying to rebel was an act of control.
And I feel like landing on top of Federal Hall, the date being so significant to like the creation of American history, the creation of America. I feel like for him, it's the, like you said, the stars aligning. He's like, not only do I want to leave a legacy, but this could be even bigger. Like I think he sees.
Yeah. I mean, he sees himself as George Washington, metaphorically. Like, fun fact, George Washington didn't have any children.
So I never knew that. We looked it up ourselves when we were creating a YouTube video.
Yeah, and he had no children. And that's such a perfect metaphor for Solidus, because he goes on to allude that the Patriots genetically removed their ability to have children.
The Patriots genetically removed his ability.
Oh, yeah. Him and the other brothers, so Solid and Liquid, both had this done to them. And you could say that, like, George Washington built America, so to speak, and left a legacy that has lasted for over 200 years now. And he did it without having kids. And there's statues of this motherfucker all across the country.
He's on the money.
Everybody in the United States knows his name. And there are tons of people all over the world that know his name. It's a lasting legacy for somebody who has no family tree.
And it's funny because Solidus talks, it's kind of like half biology lesson, half like legacy, less like monologue, in that Solidus is like, look, since I can't have kids, that's one way you can leave a legacy of memory. If I can't have kids, I'm going to make sure I'm remembered in some shape or form. And I think at this point, too, they already removed him from being president. He was President George Sears. They took that from him. If he does this and really fights the Patriots, he will for sure be remembered. Because if he doesn't fight them, we can imagine he's going to be removed from history. Mm-hmm. His name is one of the things they're going to take out from the internet.
Oh, for sure.
So I think it's just his micro goal fits into this larger narrative of just like the American people. I'm fighting for all of you, but really for me. He concludes this really grand lecture, and he's like, "I'm gonna liberate us Americans with the Patriots. We'll all become the sons of liberty." Like it's very poetic. I don't think Raiden cares at this point, but I think Solidus knows, like you said, I'm either gonna win or die. So
I'm putting it all out on the table right now.
Here's my moment, giving a lecture to his son.
Mm-hmm.
We get a call.
Oh, from who?
Raiden gets a call from none other than the Colonel.
Wow, again.
And Rose is here too.
Oh, again.
I thought it was interesting that Solidus lets you answer this call, though. Because he just gave you this big monologue about legacy, history, not being forgotten. And then you get a call and just Raiden just like, hello?
And Raiden didn't even answer what Solidus was putting down.
He didn't say anything in response.
Yeah, like Raiden just listened to this guy lay it all out.
Pour his heart out.
And this dude just picked up a phone call. Like the balls to do that.
You get a codec call. You answer it mad quick. Maybe Raiden was done. He was like, let me just say, what else? He picks up this codec, and we're greeted to a 13-minute long cutscene.
That means Solidus was standing there for 13 minutes.
I bet you a tear fell from his eye. I bet you he was like, that meant shit to you?
Wow, you don't give a fuck. You don't give a single fuck.
I just poured my heart out to you, and you pick up that codec from the robot? He answered a scam call instead of listening to you.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. Ryan saw his phone say scam likely and was like, oh, thank God, this is my out. And he chose to answer that.
So I can imagine Solidus just standing there, tapping his foot, waiting for Raiden to finish. I mean, it's a very long cutscene. And of course, we took out the chunks of important information from it, but almost everything in that cutscene is so relevant. Like,
it is. The monologue that the Colonel and Rose give here is, I would say, it's like one of the most important monologues in the game, because it really lays it out in plain English what the Patriots want to do. And this is the monologue that a lot of people point to and that say that Kojima is like a prophet.
Yes. Like, go back, listen to it. It's wild. It's like it sums up everything this game has to offer. And so we, of course, broke it down for everybody. So let's discuss. The first point is that apparently there are other AI in the world. We know GW was destroyed thanks to EE's virus.
Yeah.
So that's why the Colonel AI was bugging out and doing all that weird, scary stuff in the last episode.
Yeah, and like the Metal Gear Rays had like those like weird head shivers and stuff.
But there were other AIs. He destroyed just one of them. So the Colonel was like, I'm still here, bitch. Like, I'm not being destroyed so easily. 2, the AI Colonel, I mean, I guess we can call it AI Colonel, Colonel AI, Colonel whatever. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He alludes to the AI being a product of years upon years of American government and politics. He essentially says that the White House was their primordial soup, which is how human beings were created. Like the beginning of evolution, right?
Yeah.
Well, the origin of human life. And I like that comparison because it kind of compares the AI to like a life form.
Yeah, and
being sentient.
It's kind of like a cool mirror, because humans were birthed from this like biological weird primordial soup, like more or less like a dirty puddle, you know? And AI was something that was birthed from more or less like man-made structures. So it's kind of like a similar thing. It's just kind of like a repeat from something organic to something that's inorganic.
Ooh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Like the White House was their primordial soup. So like their earliest stages were like the formations of human society.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And like
the different branches of government.
The system, so to speak. And that was their earliest beginnings, like their single cell organism selves, you know?
Yeah. No, I like that. It came from these like man-made structures with really no emotion or like human component to it, but those ideas slowly seeped out into what this AI is, the sentient AI being. The AI kernel states that human genes, don't contain any record of human history. So the AI itself was created to cultivate that history. He states that certain information needs to be passed on. The internet is allowing all information, which will reduce, in his eyes, the rate of human evolution.
Yeah, it's like cultivating what can be spread through the internet.
Too many people have access to the internet. This AI needs to make sure the right stuff is passed on. Before it was easy. You can make textbooks. You can make. Yeah,
you could control the newspapers. There was only like a handful of television channels. Nowadays, just for example, just some 2 rando people could start a podcast out of nowhere and just start broadcasting with no filters, no repercussions really. And we are completely uncontrolled. And that is something that what we're doing here is an example of what the Patriots fear. It's an uncontrolled source of information.
The AI goes on and says, Okay, like you think I sound wild right now, but think about it. Human evolution, human behavior is full of half truths and questionable morality. As a society, we talk out of both sides of our mouth. For example, Rose goes on and says, like, look, there are people starving in the world. We all know that. But yet, people donate money to help preserve endangered species and animals.
Hmm.
Billions of dollars are spent on weapons to humanely murder other humans. The AI,
How thoughtful of them.
us as the AI, we want to guide humans on the path of like the betterment of society.
Hmm.
The AI kernel also states that the internet is creating this environment where people are pushed into essentially their own echo chambers. People are afraid of confrontation and conflict. So you begin retreating into sections of the internet where you are with like minded individuals.
Yeah. I mean, just look at the state of the internet now. I mean, the only time when people come together is to do battle, more or less, and not really like exchange ideas or try to have like a peaceful coexistence. It's always like we're going to war with this side, and it doesn't have to be like as serious as like political stuff. It could even something as minor as like Dark Souls 1 is better than Dark Souls 3. That'll start a riot somewhere.
And half the time you're sticking with your own people who feel this, you know.
Yeah, we all stay inside our own little ponds, so to speak. And we all like to talk to one another because we all agree with each other. And we all like to talk to people who we agree with. So
Yeah, think about that now. Like,
I mean, like look at Reddit. Reddit is a great example. There are subreddits full of all of these people who have like very specific interests, and they barely venture outside of those little ponds.
the AI essentially feels that that's going to be the end of of the end of humanity. That we're going to get to a point where we're just in our own little corners. No, the human evolution is not progressing, and the AI knows best.
Yeah, because apparently we're generating too many ideas.
Essentially, their main thing is that the AI knows best. We are created to keep society moving forward. In this, excuse me, in this monologue, they also read the out of Raiden. Like he is on this call for 13 minutes, barely saying anything. You know, it's kind of sad because
I mean, what can you say? But like, what? Why?
they're on the call telling him that none of his ideas are his own, and that his self, so his self, like his personality, is his own attempt to preserve the occasional positive emotions he feels.
How the hell? Okay, that's just mean. Because,
Defend your man.
okay, Raiden is a particularly special case because he is like a sponge. Okay? But that is everyone. When you're like a baby, your mind is more or less a sponge. And whatever experiences you get within like the first couple of months in your life is gonna really shape who you are when you're an adult. Ideas are spread around, and whether you agree with them or not, it's your choice to believe in them or not.
And I feel like for Raiden, growing up in a war-torn country, growing up as a child soldier, no kidding that he's gonna hold on to the fleeting moments of positivity and joy.
Yeah.
He has not known that feeling for very long. So I don't think it's kind of like a self-preserving thing he does. Otherwise, he would succumb to the PTSD. He would succumb to all the trauma and terror he's felt. So like, yeah, maybe his personality is his attempt at trying to stay afloat. I don't see anything wrong with that. But they
don't like it.
they
They really don't like it.
they literally are like humans are weak. They're immature. And they literally say humans don't deserve the right to decide what is passed on. But they were made from humans. It's so interesting.
because like their whole idea is that like the only thing that humans for sure pass on is whatever is in their genes. That is the only thing, and that is what helped make humans evolve into like the top thing on this planet.
Yeah.
And their whole spiel is that ideas used to be like that. Like there used to be like an evolutionary track, so to speak. You know, like how they say that like history is always written by the victors.
I think that's exactly what it is.
And at this point in history, even in our own real world, we're getting every side of the story, not only from like official news sources, but like from people on the ground. You like I've been getting TikToks of people all over the world experiencing horrible tragedies on every end of the spectrum. Mm-hmm. And that is something that was not even thinkable even like 10 years ago. Or like, I mean, when this came out, 01?
Yeah.
Like this is like something that is unthinkable.
And I think too, back then when the internet first came out, for those who were around, the internet was very much like, there were millions of websites you can access. We said this in a previous podcast episode, in which the internet, nowadays you're going into like 4 websites, sadly. Mm-hmm. But back then, you would just type in random words, cookies.net, and then be a website. Cookies.com, a website. Like you would just like search to see what is out there. There'd be so many different types of websites for very specific like niche ideas. And I think for the Patriots, they were like, that's you're doing too much.
You're doing too much.
You're doing too much. And it's interesting that this AI, I feel like it's twofold. And I think this is something I question. Is the AI what the Patriots felt in the sense of like they felt they were above humanity, they knew what was right for humanity? Or is this the AI being sentient and being like, we're going to guide this immature species?
Who's to know? I mean...
It doesn't even matter, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going on the metaphor that humans evolved from the primordial soup and the AI evolved from ideas placed in society, humanity, so to speak, is getting out of control because of rampant information, right? So to speak. I don't believe in it, but you know, that's the idea being put forth. Maybe the AI is getting to a point where it's also getting too much information, and it's getting to a point where it feels like it needs to control it.
Oh, so it's getting too much itself, and it's like, okay, I need...
Yeah, it's getting like...
I'm having a hard time now.
It's getting like, I mean, what's bigger than terabyte? Like whatever byte, the biggest byte there is. It's getting that 60 times a second all day, every day. And it's like, all right, you all got to slow the f*** down, okay?
I think what's also interesting, and I just thought about this right now, they're talking about the primordial soup being created in the White House. So we're speaking specifically about America. We're not speaking for the world, yet this AI kind of also seems to want to control the world.
Yeah, and it definitely seems to be of American origin.
Yeah, which I think I don't want to go too into it right now, but I think that's also important to think about and interesting. Continuing on to this monologue, the S3 plan actually stands for Selection for Societal Sanity. That is a system for controlling human will and consciousness. S3, sorry, let me finish this. S3 is the method that created Raiden. S3 is the AI, not Raiden.
Remember when we said S3 being a part of like a simulated Shadow Moses mission or the VR training that Raiden was put through? Both of those, no. That's not it. What it actually is what we've been talking about for the last few minutes. The controlling of information to manipulate people to do what you want based on what you give them. And this whole game, well, at least Raiden's part, has been like a test for the AI to manipulate Raiden to do what they want. And apparently they succeeded.
It worked.
Yeah, they did. They did their job.
Every little point they gave Raiden led him to this final moment where his last mission is to take Solidus down. Ocelot, apparently, they say Ocelot wasn't told the full truth, but they're telling you now. You know, Ocelot was only given bits and pieces of everything. But Shadow Moses, all the connections and comparisons and weird co-winky-dinkies.
It's all on purpose.
All on purpose.
Every little like question mark you had in your head going like, I wonder that's interesting.
What was the point of that?
Totally on purpose. And I mean, to talk a little meta here, Metal Gear Solid was a retread of Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake. In a sense, it's like Kojima referencing that, yes, I did copy Metal Gear 2. And that's kind of the point. You know, it's the same thing over and over again.
It's kind of like you're playing a sequel, but it's not even a sequel because you're playing the same game.
Yeah. It's kind of like a weird meta thing that Kojima did there, which I think is kind of cool.
This man thinks he's a genius.
Yeah, right. He thinks he's like an auteur or something.
The AI ends this whole monologue, this whole 13-minute cutscene. They say that your last mission is to take Solidus down. And it's at this point where Raiden pipes up. He goes like, I'm exercising my free will. You know what? At this last minute of the game, I'm going to do what I want because it's about time.
I'm just going to walk away. How about that?
I'm going to walk away and you can't stop me. Oh, wait, you have Olga's child. They're like, remember, you're wired to Olga's child. If you die, they die. And then it also ends, I think, with Rose's AI, and it's like, Rose is also wired the same way. Bye.
Oh yeah. And then Ryan's like, does Rose exist then?
So my life is tied to Olga's child, and then it's also tied to Rose, but she's real, and then they hang up.
How lovely.
So now you're on to your free will battle with your papa. You get your last little mission, the last little boss battle. And what do you think Solidus was doing for 13 minutes?
Checking out the height. Maybe he went over to the ledge and was like, wow, we're really high up.
He's like looking like, damn, we're gonna get really fucked up Lower Manhattan.
Damn. Maybe he thought of a cool thing to say to Raiden when he was hanging up.
You know what? He had 13 minutes to think of a response.
Like he's just like, I'm not going to die. No. I will not. No.
You think when he looked over the edge, someone, because it's Lower Manhattan, there's people there. You think someone was like, "Yo, is that George Sears, the president?"
He's like, oh no, oh they saw me.
Like he picked up and they're like, "Isn't that?"
Like, hey yo, ain't that George Sears? He's wearing like a tentacle costume.
They're like, "Is that?" He's like, "Oh fuck."
Yo, he's got an eye patch on.
He's like, now I gotta beat my son's ass. Now people are watching.
Oh.
So Raiden hangs up the codec call, right? And at this point, he had 13 minutes to come up with a great response. I think this felt like this was payback for answering the call. You immediately end the codec call, and Solidus is like, by the way, I killed your parents.
Yo, he is so messy.
He was like, oh,
so
okay, you want to answer a call? I made you an orphan. That was me.
Guess what? That trauma, I'm the source of it.
He says probably my favorite line of his of all time. My man goes,
I am your foster father and your worst enemy.
like, damn. Why is that in the same? It makes no sense for it to be in the same sentence. It's just so funny. I really do think he was upset that Raiden held him up. I saw this motivations. It's just a very weird man. And I also was confused as to why he had to kill Raiden. But it makes sense because Raiden has to kill Solidus as part of his last mission. So Solidus has no choice.
Well, Raiden alludes to that there are clues of the Patriots' location, or clues to who the Patriots are, encoded in Raiden's own.
Oh, Solidus
machine.
says.
Oh yeah, is that what did I say? Raiden says.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Solidus says that encoded within Raiden's own nanomachines are clues to the Patriots' either their identity or their location. And, you know, it might check out, but that just seems like a desperate play.
To me, I imagine the nanomachines being microscopic. So this man's going to kill Raiden, take his body, find scientists to get that information. It's very, I like you said, very desperate. I think he's at a loss of just
like
what's the next move.
like logistically, like let's say hypothetically, Solidus is right. Where is he gonna go? Right? He can't just like go to like a college or a university somewhere go like, yo, look at this blood.
It's No, I definitely do think Solidus is just grasping at anything, But I think very much he knows he has to get through Raiden before he does anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very poetic. You got to fight your father and your worst enemy on top of Federal Hall, and it's a pretty cool boss battle.
It is pretty neat. He fights with 2 katanas.
He has Heelys on.
He's got his Heelys. He's got his little tentacles.
Mm-hmm.
And you got your own single sword that Olga gave you. If you were to tell me back in the day that this game would have ended with you fighting a president wearing a mech suit with 2 katanas, I thought that...
Right when the game first started. Like, how does it end?
Like that, it ends with you fighting a former president of the United States with katanas on top of a building and he's wearing like an exosuit.
Oh yeah. Also, what are the katanas called? This is kind of like a deep cut.
Oh yeah. I got a future Tom the source of this, but it is confirmed that his dual katanas are both named Democrat and Republican. So I had to do a lot of running around. I completely forgot where the source was for the names of Solidus's swords, but it's from the Metal Gear Solid 4 database. There's an online version of it. You don't have to have like the PlayStation 3 app to view it. Although the site is a little dated, but the information's all there. That is so crazy.
I feel like that's the only way to describe it. It's like, okay.
That is crazy.
All right.
Does that mean, okay, hear me out. Does that mean that during his presidency, do you think that President George Sears had the dual katanas in the Oval Office? And he's like, I'm going to cut the budget with my dual katanas, Democrat and Republican.
I feel like he has to cut it with whoever is in control of the House and Senate.
Oh, so
It's like a symbol.
so like if he needs to debate like a member of like the Republican Party,
He has to fight them?
yeah, he tosses them the Republican katana, and he's like, "On God."
Do we think Solidus was a Democrat
Ooh.
or a Republican?
Oh, this is an interesting take. I never thought of this before.
Okay, we gotta come back to. Do we even know?
Okay,
We don't know any of his policies though.
we don't, but we could.
He likes George Washington and like the whole like the.
Washington didn't have a party though. He was, whew.
I'm inclined to think about Republicans. When you think of people who fancy the Constitution and like the rights, the core rights of Americans, it's always like, but it doesn't mean the Democrats don't believe that.
He does like that "Don't tread on me" flag. I don't know.
Anyway,
Yeah,
we gotta
who's
come
to
back
know?
to this. Who was the cooler brother to fight, Solidus or Liquid?
Okay. For narrative purposes, Liquid, but in terms of pure gameplay, Solidus is so much more fun to fight. He has, there's a lot more going on. The arena that you fight him in is so much bigger.
Yes.
Um,
Easier to control.
It's a lot easier to control.
A lot easier. I also feel like at that point in the game, I love, of course, Metal Gear Solid 1, but Metal Gear Solid 2 feels there's like so much more on the line in this battle.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're thinking about Olga's child, you're thinking about just like all the reveals that just happened in the last few minutes. So to me, when I play this, I just wanted to hurry up and beat Solidus to know what the hell happens after.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
But like you just to know what happens later on in the game. Like you just want to beat this guy just to figuratively turn the page to the next chapter.
Because I know we're gonna get a Colonel Codec call again. There has to be some kind of finality to this. Maybe not a neat bow, but they're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah.
But this boss fight is cool, and I really do think that Solidus, like, I I feel like this is the first time we actually fight him.
Oh yeah.
Formidable.
Well,
Very.
I mean, the Harrier kind of counts, but blah, I don't count it.
No, I like as an actual like
Person
to
yeah.
person. He's a very formidable.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's supposedly the perfect clone.
He is the yes.
And not perfect as in like he has like all of like the desired genes. He's like a 1-to-1 copy of Big Boss. And Big Boss being the greatest soldier who ever lived, you know, that would give Solidus some innate ability to, you know, have some moves, so to speak, you know?
So you have a lot on the line while you're fighting Solidus. During this, you also get codec calls from Rose and Colonel. So like you can choose to ignore them, but you know, while you're fighting Solidus, you can pick up some. And
they just mess with you.
they again just like really the amount of stuff that Raiden just eats. Literally things like you're just a weapon. They don't say this, but it's like you ain't shit. You have no right to think for yourself. This part makes me so mad. If you call Rose, like if you go to her codec, she's like, "How's your murdering going? Like, how are you doing? Oh, you want to save?"
Wow.
Like it's just
Evil.
Like,
oh my god.
The trauma they inflict on him in this moment, and again too. Right at the very end, there is no free will. He's not even doing. He wants to save Olga's child, but again, it's really not of his own accord.
Yeah, he has to do it, but like he's also on the side of people who are actively traumatizing him, and like are borderline laughing at him as they're doing it.
Yeah, you got no choice. Go ahead. We'll wait till you're done.
Yeah,
and we don't even exist.
Ugh, disgusting.
To even add to that, you defeat Solidus. Exactly what they want.
To their design. Do you feel happy about it?
Yeah, you beat him. You sliced the shit out of his spine suit. Hooray! Yeah, you use your sword and you slice his back, like blood spurts out. It's very gory. He kind of eats it in a really bad way.
Oh yeah. And there's like a small moment. He goes over to like the ledge.
Like he's dying, right? He's walking.
Yeah. And he turns to you and he falls off. But right before he falls off, there's something that like I always wondered about. You could see that he's like saying something. And it's not just like his mouth just going up and down or something. Like you could tell that he's animating speech, like his
he's
lips.
Saying something.
And there's no subtitles, there's no audio file for it. And I've always wondered what that was for, you know?
What he was trying to say?
Yeah.
To me, I feel like that's kind of like a microcosm of like what the S3 plan is. Like that whole moment is just lost.
Like think about it like this too. Like Solidus wanted to be remembered so desperately. And in his final moment left alive, his final words were never heard. And that is crazy to think about. Like I think that must have been the idea of that, you know? Because it so fits in with what he didn't want to happen to him.
To be forgotten.
Crazy.
He also dies. He falls off Federal Hall. And in front of Federal Hall is a statue of George Washington. And he falls off and he dies reaching up to the statue. Like, basically kind of like reaching up to his ideal. His goal was to emulate this man who left the lasting legacy in America. And at this end, his words forgotten, can't even reach him, can't even touch him.
And then he dies.
And that's literally it for Solidus.
It's kind of weird that I feel a little sad for him in this moment, you know?
I think it's really because he was a pawn himself. He wasn't a good guy. I mean, he obviously had child soldiers. He killed, he made orphans. It's not even like he found these kids. He made orphans.
Yeah.
He made child soldiers. He was with the Patriots and going along with them until it didn't suit his needs. And so, like, you know, you're, it's sad to see what he became, but it's also like, what did you expect? You know what I mean? Like, for him, you go along with it until it doesn't work for you, and now it's a big deal. But it was cool when you were first starting with them.
Mm-hmm.
When you were president, it was cool. I know, it's rough, and it's weird too. Like, when I play this and I got to that point, like, it's over. You did it, but it doesn't feel good.
No, it's not a joyous occasion. And you could see on Raiden's face as well that he doesn't feel like this is something that needs to be applauded. Because at the end of the day, like, he was manipulated into this as well. And this was just the final act in some play that someone else wrote.
You know, the curtains have closed now, and you're standing in the middle of New York.
Just kind of like having an existential crisis.
It's funny because this whole game, you were guided by people, you were told what to do, and now you're kind of left alone. It's almost like you want someone to guide you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can someone just come in and tell me what to do next? Can someone just tell me where I go from here, what I do? I feel for Raiden right now. Even in this moment, I feel lost.
Yeah. And Raiden, he somehow makes his way off the building. We're not seeing how he does it.
Yeah,
but,
he's on the street level.
you know, like he finds his way down. And he's just kind of observing, just continuously having this existential dread.
We also, not to cut you off, sorry, but there's New Yorkers now running around.
Oh yeah.
We see like kind of like first responders coming in. There's like, you know, crew assessing the situation. New Yorkers running around.
And Raiden just says to himself, like, who am I?
That's what he says.
Yeah, he's just like, who am I? And right at that moment, somehow, Snake is there.
Yay, Big Brother Solid Snake.
I'm happy that he's there to talk to him, but like the last time we saw him, he dived off into the ocean.
Wait, you're so right. He probably dove in after Liquid in the Metal Gear Ray was like, who am I kidding?
Do you think he somehow like got a hold of Arsenal and just rode it into Manhattan?
No, I think he swam for a bit and then he stopped and was like, what am I doing? He was swimming and Metal Gear Ray was just getting smaller and smaller in the distance. And then he was like, what? Who am I kidding?
You see, that's why he has the recessive genes. Like he's got a lot of skills in his own right, but you know, every now and then he makes a little oopsie, and he's like, I shouldn't have done this.
So he swims back all wet, and then it takes him so long that he gets to the bottom of Manhattan by the time the battle's all over. He's like, oh shit, there's Raiden. Let me go.
Oh, he took care of it.
Let me go talk to him.
Good on him.
At this point, just when you needed guidance, just when Raiden was just at a loss of everything and himself, Big Brother Solid Snake has a lot to say. And this monologue I appreciate because it was very hopeful.
Yeah, Snake starts, and I know we just said that this was hopeful, but he starts off with some like deep cuts. He says that there's no such thing in the world as absolute reality. And it's a little deep, and maybe Raiden doesn't want to hear that right now. But
especially when he's been given false information or he's been told that nothing's of his own free will, and you know, he's questioning what exactly happened. And then to have someone you kind of trust the whole game be like, nothing is true.
And it's like, gee, thanks. But what he's trying to get across is that there are moments in your life that are out of your control. Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's big, like reality. But what matters is what's right in front of you right here and right now. And those things are real. Even in a scenario where something is fake, what you felt during those moments is real.
You had feelings, and you need to hold on to that because that was you. Those feelings, that confusion, that was you.
Through and through.
And I think also Solidus's monologue really got to Raiden in the fact of Raiden acts as Solid. He says, you know, what am I going to leave behind when I'm through, when this is all through? If I feel like he's like, who am I and what kind of legacy am I going to leave?
Mm-hmm. And Snake just reaffirms that, like, you just got to teach people about having faith in what we have faith in, and that it's up to all of us to teach our kids our history, the good and the bad, and that we all have the freedom to do it.
Yeah, I really liked what he said. He was like, you know, so many people fought for us to have freedom, and it's important to remember all the hard work they did and to continue on with that message of just like faith. There's no right and wrong, but how much faith you have is what lasts. And that it's important to find the meaning behind words.
It's nice. It's I always liked this monologue, even growing up. Like, this was definitely like one of those things that hit me in a point where I felt like I needed to hear that.
Really?
Yeah. Like, you know, like you grow up in a circumstance where you don't really feel you're in control of anything. And if, you know, like someone comes around and says, hey, I know shit sucks, but there are good things to be had. And you gotta, like, remember those times. It's a good message, you know?
I appreciate you mentioning how this moment hit you at a very important time in your life, because I think that's something that also resonated with so many other people. This is one of those moments that makes this game one of the games of all time. At this moment, Raiden notices that he has dog tags, and I think the name on it is a name you picked in the beginning of the game, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of like a meta thing. But it's signifying this sort of deal. He throws away these dog tags that represent the player because it has the player's information on it. Like, it has their name, their birth date, all that stuff. And Raiden throws it away. And that's like a metaphor for Raiden throwing away the player's control over Raiden.
So that could be a metaphor. I can see that.
Narratively, you could say that it was like Raiden's quote unquote real name, if you want to keep it in the realm of the Metal Gear universe.
Yeah. He's throwing away being a soldier. He's throwing away...
he's throwing away that part of his life.
He's even throwing away Raiden.
Yeah, he's throwing away Raiden. That's a great way to look at it too. And Solid, before he throws away these dog tags, Solid asks Raiden, are they anyone you know? And Raiden goes, never heard the name before. And then he chucks him. And he goes on to say that he'll live out his own life and that he'll pick out his own name and that he's going to figure out what to pass on his own.
I hope the best for him. You think he lives a good life?
What happens next?
Snake tells Raiden that he plans to find the name of the Patriots through that code, like that Fox Die like virus that Emma created. Mm-hmm. He kind of figures that like the name should be in there somewhere. Yeah,
because like if they're designed to delete certain information, that means that there's something in the code that tells the program what to delete.
And they would probably delete the names of themselves. That makes sense. And Raiden's like, great, my next mission. Let's go, Snake. And Snake's like, hold on. You got more important things to do. I'm the real soldier. I feel like he was like kind of like stepping to him. He's like, yo, let's be for real. I'm the real soldier. Go ahead.
I'm the main character. Okay.
Metal Gear Solid. That's me.
It's not Metal Gear Raiden. Okay.
As he says this though, like this man is great timing on Snake's part. As he tells Raiden, you got more important things to do. Raiden turns around and the crowd of people separates and we see in all her glory Rose.
She's real?
She's real.
Wow.
And it's funny because she's wearing like this white power suit. White power suit sounds wild. She's wearing she's wearing a power suit that is white. Okay?
Okay. I understand.
With a blue button up under. I mentioned that just because in the sea of New Yorkers, as they part, it looks very like virginal, very like new, fresh. If someone's wearing all white, to me, like that's like the symbols of like a new beginning, a wedding.
The symbolism
the
is
symbolism.
strong.
But Rose is there. We see her physically. When he eventually walks up to her, he's like, "You're real?" Like, you know, even though she's there, it's like, "Hello."
You're here, huh?
I also want to mention. So, okay, first, this is the vision. You're talking to Snake as Raiden, right? You're talking. He's like, "You got more important business." You turn, you see Rose. She comes to you or you walk to her, I forget. But you turn back and Snake is gone.
I mean, he's the master of sneaking, so he's gone.
Not only that is he gone, we see a green parrot fly up into the cityscape.
You think Snake set it loose?
He's like, "Get this stupid ass noisy bird out of here." Why is it? Whatever. But the bird flies away. So I guess just new beginnings, symbolism. Snake's on his mission. The bird leaves, flying away, and then Rose is here.
Maybe Otacon set it free.
Oh, Otacon was just like, "I'm letting go of that."
Like maybe off camera. This is a completely non-canon thing. I'm assuming a lot. Maybe Snake went over to Otacon and then they had a moment together. And then Otacon let go of the bird.
Aww,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we just that's just something we didn't see. That is headcanon for me. We don't see that.
No, that's fair. I like Otacon having a moment because he definitely needed one too in this. And the bird flying off is a great way of him releasing that emotion from him, setting it free, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's moving on. But Raiden and Rose have a moment now. They're together in the flesh. Last time they were together in the flesh is when they first met, before the mission, when he thought he knew who she was.
Yeah, in a way, this is like the first time they're meeting again.
And it's funny because I had wrote in the notes, like, okay, now they have a moment to rekindle their relationship. But their relationship was built upon
lies.
They don't really even know each other. But I think there's love there. Like, what do you think about Rose and Raiden in this moment?
I don't know. I think Rose tells Raiden that she genuinely fell for him, but she had to keep up this lie. And Raiden obviously had feelings in his own right, but he had demons to fight. And then you come to find out that she was one of his demons all along. It's a hard new beginning. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's pretty close to impossible.
I guess the main point is that like they're both making a choice
to try. Yeah.
They don't really know each other, or maybe like you said, Rose knows Raiden. But they're starting from square one.
It's kind of poetic because they first met in front of Federal Hall.
So they're kind of rewriting.
They're redoing it, you know?
Also, it is revealed that Rose is pregnant. So they're starting a relationship and they kind of have like a timeline, a countdown.
Yeah.
She's pregnant. What a way to start a relationship. She goes into a little not monologue, but she kind of goes and says, "Do you know what day it is?" And Raiden goes like, "Oh, today is the anniversary of when we first met."
Wow, that's kind of cute.
No, it's cute. It's a new beginning, like you said. They're rewriting the origin of their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And Raiden's like, "Okay, now I know why you're pointing it out. I get it. It took about King Kong and Chrysler Building, whatnot." Raiden says though in this conversation that he's hopeful that he can pass on the good of humanity to their child, and that he wants to teach them all about the beauty.
Yeah, he wants to teach them about art and the environment, poetry. That tells me that like Raiden is some sort of like learned little guy that wants to read like literature to his kids. Because like Snake was talking about like having faith in what you believe in, and Raiden just starts spouting like, I want to teach them literature.
Yeah, he's
Art.
a little thespian,
He's a little
cultured.
he's a little thespian little guy, you know.
It's so we're getting a little bit of his character. You know?
This is like your first taste of who he is outside of the game.
Yep. He's just as beautiful inside as he is on the outside.
Oh.
It's funny, we were watching the documentary of like the making of Metal Gear Solid 2, and Kojima specifically was like, I want Raiden to be beautiful.
Yeah.
He needs to be beautiful.
I want a beautiful man. I want to look at this man and be like, damn.
During this conversation, when Raiden's talking about passing on the good of humanity to his child, we're also getting like real world shots of New York City. I guess when Kojima and his team came to New York to take like B-roll or whatever, not B-roll, but like
B-roll.
Take B-roll. The cutscene's literally like real life people walking in downtown Manhattan, and in my head, all I could think about, Tom, was like, we have to warn them about COVID.
That's all you would warn them about? COVID? I'm sorry. Is that?
I forgot.
Is that too much? I'm sorry.
Damn, I didn't even think about that. Damn. That video was like like 1999 probably.
Yeah, it was probably 99, yeah.
99. They don't
Oh, they don't know.
Oh my god. Like damn, I was warning them about COVID, you're right.
I mean, warn them about COVID. Go right ahead. But to be like, that's all? That's all you're going to say?
I feel like if I were to go back in time and try to warn them, I would come back here and be like, oh fuck.
I didn't warn them about the other thing.
I was like, I come back and I'm like, Tom, okay, I did it. I warned them. I warned them about COVID-19. And you're like, Crystal, what have you done? And I'm like, no, wait.
Like, Crystal, you went to New York City in 1999. You could have done something.
Oh my god. Jeez Louise. Man. It's eerie seeing that too. It's like, because every time I watch that cutscene, I always tell UT that I'm always like looking for us in the crowd. Because I'm like, it's New York City.
We would have been like kids.
I know, but I'm always looking.
Mean, there was that clip of like kids leaving Federal Hall on like a field trip. That theoretically could have been us. But that's very...
I know, the chances.
The chances are very slim.
But it's just shots of people in New York City. I'm always like, maybe one of us is in there, you know?
Uh-huh.
But it's just interesting to see that little clip and then hear about, Raiden wanting to teach his child about the best of human life. And I feel like that's kind of like what you were mentioning earlier, Kojima's message. Like, you went through a wild game. You went through twists and turns that you wouldn't believe. But the core of it is, you are your own person. You have choices and emotions that matter.
And that's the point. And the game is confusing. It's supposed to be confusing. But what mattered most while playing this game is how you felt while playing it. And that, in and of itself, is the real message of Metal Gear Solid 2. Outside of all of the prophecy, internet conspiracy bullshit that Kojima was spitting, that's a side thing.
If that wasn't enough, if we already didn't get that impression, there is also another voiceover from Snake right at the end of this game, where Snake goes into how important it is to build the future and keep the past alive, how important it is to pass on the best of human creativity and kindness. Like, I feel like Kojima's like, okay, here's the message. Like,
this is what's important.
Hello,
this is it.
It's not about passing on your genes. We have to keep history alive, the good and the bad, and we have to focus on the best parts of it, and that the digital age could be used for good. This whole game was about it not being used for good.
It was a warning beacon.
Yeah,
just like this is a possibility.
And that's it.
That was the game.
The game ends with that last little sentiment of promoting the best of human experience in life, and it's over.
But wait, there's one more thing.
What is it?
Otacon calls Snake, and he's like, "Hey, Snake, we looked into that disc, and we found a list of 12 people." And Snake was like, "Hell yeah, we found the Patriots. Who are they?" And Otacon was like, "Well, they all died 100 years ago."
What?
I know, right? I don't know.
And that was it.
That's it.
T, the game is over.
It is.
It's done.
Yes.
What happened? What was the reason? What do you think about this game?
I think that this game is one of the most confusing games in the series.
It's not a game you play just once.
No. I mean, I remember playing this game all the time. Like, I played it again and again and again. I mean, outside of just trying to understand the story, I just really liked the game.
Yeah.
Gameplay wise, it's a game that I keep coming back to even today.
Mm-hmm.
Narrative wise, it's a game that at the time I probably didn't have a full grasp on it because I think I was about 11 or 10 when this game was out. But I think that might have ironically been the best time for me to play this game.
It radicalized you.
In a way. But like, I feel like in many ways that made me literally like Raiden, where I didn't know what was happening. And as I got older and as I played the game at different points in my life, I continuously get new perspectives and new like little nuggets of information. And I think that's why this game in particular has such a staying power.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we've made it very clear on the advancement on AI. And this game delves into that topic 20 years before it even is a thought.
So for people who maybe you were born after 2000, maybe you didn't play Metal Gear Solid 2 when it came out, I think it's important to understand just how important this game was when it came out. I mean, Metal Gear Solid 1 was a hit. The hype for Metal Gear Solid 2 was at a level I don't think it unbelievable.
It was at a point that it is unmatched even today, in my opinion. There is footage out there of E3 in, I think, the year 2000, where they dropped the trailer for Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah, we you can go check it out on YouTube. We were grateful to be able to see it.
Yeah, and there were crowds of people just sitting and watching it again and again and again.
Like, it's people sitting watching a trailer
for a
like
video
live
game. And the reactions of people at the time were like, this is it. This is literally like a movie. And it's silly to look at that topic now and look at the graphics, but at the time this was revolutionary. And I feel like Kojima also was, people were beginning to kind of respect his craft. They understood, like, okay, this Metal Gear Solid was a fantastic game. What a cool story. What is he going to do next? Mm-hmm.
So when this game came out and we see the story now, we've been talking about this story for 9 episodes. Lightning in a bottle. Like, he really honed his craft. It was layers upon layers of just what does it mean to be a sequel to a game? What does it mean that the internet is blossoming in our society? Like, he brought so many different topics into one game, and I feel like every moment of this game is valid.
Yeah.
Like, there's no dead air in this game. Every moment means something.
And it tells you like 5 different messages at once. And that's why it warrants you to play it over and over again, because there is so much in it. And I think it might be one of the most complex stories in the whole series.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like, I mean, I feel like I'm going to have some egg on my face later on, but I feel like that this might be like the longest amount of episodes that we'll do for a game.
Yeah. What's also something that I think is valid to say is that when this game came out, we've already been talking about it throughout these episodes, but this game was released in November of 2001. Not only is the internet something that was just beginning? Us 20 years later, the way he spoke about the internet is what's happening now.
Yeah, especially like with AI.
With the AI, with bots, with, I mean, you have 5 websites really kind of
Controlling everything.
So, like, I feel like Kojima was really. People say he's a prophet, and like this was one of the game. This was the first game where people were like, "Oh, how did he know?" Also, too, you talk about like information control. You talk about like terrorism. I think with this game, what's important for new players to understand is impact and timing. The impact of this game. For example, on a larger scale, when this game came out, it was after Metal Gear Solid. People were excited for another Kojima game. People were excited because Metal Gear Solid 1 was such a great game. And graphically, it looked great. I think also the timing of it coming after such a major, terrible world event, people needed a great, fun game to throw themselves into. They needed some kind of relief at a time where it almost spoke to kind of the feelings that people were feeling. Raiden spends his whole game confused, spends it lost. And I think for many of us at that time, this was a game that just kind of spoke to that feeling. When you delve deeper into the game with the topics that the game covers, that's also another nod to other things that are happening in the world that are also valid and important.
Yeah, there's a lot to get into. I mean, this game brings up a lot of theories that the internet is just going to be some uncontrollable place of information, and that we're all going to drown in information. And I think that is coming to pass, to be honest with you. Even nowadays, like, we're not drowning in information made by other people. It's made by computers. AI activity, especially like on a site like Twitter, is insane. Did you know that there was a study that was done? It was over the course during the Super Bowl.
Can Future Tom give a source?
The following information can be found at Mashable. It was published by Matt Bender, who is an independent reporter, and they cited their sources in that article.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was during the Super Bowl, and they said that the bot usage of Twitter made up about 70% of its total traffic.
During the Super Bowl.
During the Super Bowl. That tells you that whenever you're interacting with anybody that you don't know is a person or not,
there's a big chance.
There is like about a 75% chance that you're not talking to a real person.
Honestly, it might be that high of a level of bots online. Because I even think about Facebook. You ever see those Facebook posts and it's like, oh, it's my birthday. Nobody wished me happy birthday. And it's like this AI generated picture of like a sad looking child.
Yeah.
And you look at the comments and it's like, oh, happy birthday. Oh my God, happy birthday. And I go to those accounts and like, those are bots too.
Yeah. And you know what's even crazier? I'm so happy you brought this up. There's this guy I run into on TikTok a lot. He's been tracking this. And he's been looking at AI generated images on Facebook, and the AI images are starting to like cannibalize each other.
Oh, like reference each other?
Yeah, like, you know, like when an AI generates an image, it's grabbing stuff from other parts of the internet, and it's getting to a point on Facebook in particular that AI is referencing other Facebook posts. So like, in an example, a thing that got a lot of traffic was things that involved Jesus, sharks, planes, sometimes spaghetti.
Interesting.
I know. Interesting, right? So then it would make up these images that it would have. It's kind of funny, but like it would have like Jesus like riding like a dinosaur that has like a shark head, and then he has like a bowl of spaghetti or something. Or there's like another one where there's a statue of Jesus made of spaghetti, and the caption is like, "Made this myself."
Yes, that's a phrase I see a lot. Made this myself.
And it all the responses are like, "Wow, amen."
Amen. But I think you talk about this a lot with me. But like the dead internet theory, where essentially the dead internet theory, for those who don't know, is that the majority of the internet is made up of bots and bots using AI in a way that is curated by this overall algorithm.
Just the system.
The system. So, for example, the AI knows that Jesus and sharks and dinosaurs and amen are things that get traction, things that get likes and views. So it's going to create content like that so that people interact with it. So it's almost like a man-made monster. It's almost like a Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Because man created this algorithm, and the algorithm was like, okay, what's working? Okay, that's working. We're going to put this in the 10th degree.
And AI is, I mean, I don't know if we're there, but I could definitely see it getting to a point where it is most of the internet. Like when you go online, unless you know for certainty that who you're looking at is real, you're just going on it just to like maybe like shop for a new set of shoes or something, and that's it. Because you know that like when you go on Instagram, all the people are fake. When you go on TikTok, there's 9 times out of 10, like, I, male, 37, went down the street. And then there's Minecraft playing on the bottom screen. It's going to be all of that. And
I always thought that was because people's attention spans are so low, but it's just what people like. People like watching.
Yeah. I mean, it could genuinely be that. But then, like, the algorithm and the bots see that is popular.
Yes.
And they make more of it.
That's a good point. Okay. And it's funny because if we think about Metal Gear Solid 2, you have basically, it sounds like the kernel AI and that AI was concerned about things like that, or like concerned about like what's happening on the internet. So it's kind of like the kernel AI wants to also battle that type of
yeah,
system.
it's interesting because the AI in Metal Gear wanted to prevent this, but in the real world, the AI is causing it.
I think we're speechless over here.
Yeah, no, because like it's so interesting that a video game from 20 years ago is making us have this really crazy conversation right now.
We looked at reviews from when this game came out in 01 because we were curious, like what were people saying? And what's cool is we found a review from GameSpot, I think.
Yeah, GameSpot.
I don't think GameSpot's around anymore, I think.
Yeah, I think it went away.
But we found this review by Greg Kasavin, forgive me for the pronunciation. But what's funny is that he was a reviewer back on GameSpot, and we're like, oh, what is he doing now? He created Hades.
Yeah.
We were like, oh.
Good on them, you know?
We're like 20 years later, you make this amazing game. But back then, he was a reviewer. And I thought something that he wrote was so perfect was, he said in his review, you can explain the plot of The Matrix to someone, but it's nothing like watching it yourself. Play this game.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the sentiment for all these reviewers. They were like, I can tell you about it. We can have a whole podcast series about what happens in this game. But this game, I don't think it'll hold the same weight as if someone played it back in 01. But I think the ideas are still so relevant, and that's what makes this game lasting. Yeah.
I mean, even to those who are new to this game today and might be spoiled on the Raiden twist, or even may be spoiled on the game in general, they're experiencing it for yourself is something that can only be done by playing it. I can't recommend playing this game enough. Yeah. This is definitely one of the many highlights that this series has to offer.
Yeah, I think the main takeaway, again, we can talk specifically about the story. It's funny because we can have a conversation on like, who were the Patriots? What was their reasoning? Why do they want to control stuff? We can compare it to Metal Gear Solid 1 and Like, Les Edfonds, Terebs. Like, we can talk about all these little nitpicky things. But if we, like, zoom out and look at the entirety of the game and its message, it's really kind of Kojima saying, like, what's important. What I feel is important is what you pass on to the next generation. And that's something he actually said in that, like, making of Metal Gear Solid 2, like, the documentary. He wanted this to be his last Metal Gear game.
Yeah. And, like, looking at it, you could definitely see it being the last one. I mean, it leaves many cliffhangers, but I think those cliffhangers were meant just to be conversation starters and on where you think the series could have gone. In terms of, like, messages and meanings and what's really important, he said everything that needed to be said.
I feel like that last moment where Snake is talking to Raiden, that was like Kojima talking to his team or Kojima talking to us. Like, look, I've given you Metal Gear Solid. You love this series. Go forth. Go on. And I think, him creating this game, it coming out in a very turbulent time, I think that was that's why people hold this game in such high regard.
Yeah.
Because it really felt like, wow, like, what will I leave to the next person, especially in light of terror and terrorism and agony and pain and suffering. What am I gonna leave? What is my legacy and what am I gonna pass on?
Yeah, because I mean, there are a lot of things in the world that you can't control, but you can control some things, and they may seem small, but they're big for someone, and you can control where that goes, And I think that is a nice place to put it, so to speak.
This, I cannot begin to tell you, this has been a long time coming. I feel like we need almost a 201 episode to describe Metal Gear Solid 2.
Maybe down the line. Not right now. I need a little breather.
I feel like for those of you who are playing this game for the first time, I implore you to play it not once, twice, 3 times. I think this game was just a marvel when it came out, just for the pure, like, capabilities of the PS2. But I just think the story, again, it's just this lasting message of faith and hope. And, like, things may change all around you. Like you just said, T, like, you may be put in spots that you don't have a lot of control, but you have feelings and emotions. And you can choose what you pass on to the next person, the next generation, your kids, your nieces, nephews, etc. And I think that's something that I want to hold.
Yeah, there's so many messages in this game that are so I'm honestly speechless.
No, this episode is probably going to be close to 2 hours, and an hour of it was probably just discussing the end of the game. But it's really, I think the main thing with this game, it was just the quality of the game and the timing when it came out. I think both of those is what elevated this game to kind of like how, why people consider it the greatest game of all time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that the overall story of this game has been discussed. I mean, we're proof positive that it's been discussed for over 20 years. But I'm not sure if we mentioned it before, but the Raiden reveal was one of the many criticisms of this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there were a lot of fans in kind of like a backlash to Raiden because they wanted to play as Snake.
Oh yeah, and it's funny because people didn't know that you played it as Raiden until the game came out and you got up to that part.
Yeah, and like Snake was on the box, Snake was in the trailers, Snake was in all the advertising until you played it. But that was part of the twist. That was like part of the narrative and the message that Kojima wanted to do.
I feel like it's also like controlling information. He was able to control the information.
Yeah, it's a whole meta thing.
You know? I feel like you can't do that nowadays. Something will leak.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything because it involves other games in the series, but he attempts, but it never hits the same, you know?
Yeah, this one just jarring. And especially too, you think about what, and I think too, this is kind of like, again, where like the legend of Kojima, but like where like, you know, people consider him an auteur. Is that the word?
Yeah.
People consider, like, they hold him in such high regard, and it's kind of like stuff like that where the demand for Metal Gear Solid 2 was so high, and people wanted to play as Snake again. People were like, yes, I'm ready. And then my man was like, nah, you're playing as Raiden. Like, you know what I mean?
No, that's such a ballsy thing to do.
The balls to do that.
Like, it could have been so easy to just phone it in. You could have just made like a classic stealth game with like all the one-liners, fancy gameplay, and like it's just make it like a classic spy thriller. But Kojima was like, "No, we're gonna do something crazy."
This man loves his movies. He loves his twist. And back then, even he was like, "I really want to make like a Hollywood game. I really want to make a game that felt like a movie."
And he did it.
He did.
He really did it.
I mean, we're at the end. Honestly, I'm still speechless. What a game. What a game. I feel like even after this episode, I'm going to be like, there's more I want to talk about. Maybe down the line we'll do a 201.
Oh yeah, I fully expect a 201 on like the messaging behind Metal Gear Solid 2, because there is so much that we can get into that we haven't gotten into here. We could, but it really warrants for a deeper discussion that needs its own episode to really flesh out.
Yeah, we really want people to understand that at the end of this game, Raiden, all we know is that he is a free man and is hoping to move forward in his life of his own accord. You know, Solid Snake gives this really impressive speech on like, not only am I going to save the baby, but also I want you to know that you have choices in life. You may not feel it at all points, but you have choices. And I feel like at the end of that game, it's just a beautiful little bow on top.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, Olga's baby's good. Hopefully, Raiden lives a good life. And I guess thankfully for us, this wasn't Kojima's last Metal Gear game. He wanted it to be.
He really did. And I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, he made other ones.
I just think with how demanded Metal Gear Solid 2 was and how great it came out to be, the fans, he was on the Konami, they were like,
you gotta make another one.
You gotta do it. we please.
But to foreshadow for what is to come, Kojima really wanted 2 to be the ending. So where else could he go but to the beginning?
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh, I like
A little
that.
foreshadowing.
We will be covering Metal Gear Solid 3 next, after we have a slew of 201 episodes.
So get ready for that.
We would like to switch up a little bit. We had 9 episodes of Metal Gear Solid 2. I don't know if we'll do 9 episodes of 201 topics, but that is to say, if you have any ideas for episodes.
Yeah, for topics that you want to be delved into, you could feel free to leave it in our suggestion box at itsknm@gmail.com. You could also send us hate mail. We will read them.
We will read them. Maybe not on the podcast, but to ourselves, and
we'll chuckle.
But we will say one episode we do have in mind is we want to rank all the villains in the series who had the best motives. Mm-hmm. Like basically the best terrorist group. That's what a title, but that's what's going to be 1 and 201 episode.
That will be one of them.
That's one. We have another one where I'm excited for it, but I won't say what it is.
Yeah, we have this whole thing planned. We're alluding to something really cool. At least we think it's cool, we're dragging you along for it. But I think you'll like it.
But like T said, please, any questions, comments, ideas for episodes, it's tknm@gmail.com is our email. I will say the next episode is going to be a get to know us episode. So if you have any questions for us,
Yes, please feel free to send them.
yeah, but any general, even like, for example, someone asked us what we do on a rainy day, we'll answer that.
Favorite food, it's literally just the, hey, who are we? How did we get into the series? What's our interests outside of Metal Gear?
We do play other games than Metal Gear.
I like other things. I'm not just a Metal Gear guy,
But T, when I tell you I am so ready to go eat some dinner and not think about Metal Gear Solid 2 for a little bit, this game, honestly, it's been really making me look at the world funny. Like, I feel very conspiratorial.
Yeah, that's a word.
That's a word.
Yeah.
I feel like a conspiracy theorist after like delving into this game, because a lot of AI stuff has popped up in the last few weeks. All these.
Yeah, this game has not been well on my conspiracy brain. Like, I see things and I'm like, this was foretold.
The Patriots are real. Sometimes I look at things and I'm like, this is what the Patriots would have wanted.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they would have wanted. Rough, but we hope you enjoyed the game. If you're new to Metal Gear Solid, please let us know what you thought about this game, especially nowadays. I'm curious, for someone who is growing up now, how this game felt to them.
Yeah, I'm curious to see a 21st century perspective on it.
Oh my god, the next generation, they were born in the 21st.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Damn.
Like, I'm curious for someone who is under the age of 24. I want to hear their perspective on this game.
Let us know. itstkandm@gmail.com. Anyway, T, thank you so much. I had a hard time figuring out my thoughts for this episode, so I appreciate your patience with me.
No, I mean, I had plenty of brain farts. I mean, if any game warrants a brain fart or two, it's this one.
I feel like writing right now.
I mean, that was intended. You feel confused? Guess what? Ryan was confused. That's how you're supposed to feel. Everybody listening, did you understand everything? No? Too bad. That's how you're supposed to feel.
That's how you're supposed to feel.
Deal with it. But the feelings that you had while being confused
was the game all along.
That's what this podcast is all about. You're not supposed to know anything except for the friends you made along the way.
Metal Gear Solid 2 was the feelings we had all along.
And that is the true meaning.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.